This is Transport BT, a podcast of BT correspondents.
Welcome to Transport BT, a podcast of BT correspondents. Every week, my colleagues and I break down a business story that matters. I'm your host, Derryn Wong. Now, is it time to show off as we go stratospheric? As we record this, Singapore Airshow would have just concluded. Now, everybody loves a loud jet or 30, but besides bringing the kids to see the planes and more, since 2008, the airshow has been a reflection of the wider aviation and aerospace industry in Singapore. Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong described them as twin reinforcing engines for growth for Singapore at the show's opening ceremony, and he pointed out that since the last show in 2024, the nation has attracted some 750 million Singapore dollars in investments. The show runs every 2 years, so Transport BT thought it would be a great time to take a peek at how aerospace and aviation have been progressing for Singapore in the time between. So to talk us through that, on board with us today is Leck Chet Lam, Managing Director for Experia Events, the organizer of the Singapore Airshow. Welcome to the show, Chet.
Thanks for having me on the show. We just had a very busy weekend. The show just ended, and we're all resting our very tired foot soles. So I think it's a good time to reflect and talk a little bit about the air show, what happened last week.
Yeah, reflect in some very strong aircon, right? Before we start, Chet, you're a veteran of the industry yourself, right? Your background is actually a lot of aviation.
Yes, I'm an aviation buff, aviation enthusiast. I'm an aerospace engineer by training, spanning across different ecosystems of the aviation industry. So I started my career in the Republic of Singapore Air Force as a defense engineer. Yeah, those were the days whereby you have to remember what you studied in school so that you can use that and run flight test programs and make sure that, everything is planned properly and accordingly. Then I went on to spend a few years in the Economic Development Board, looking into bringing inward investments into Singapore for the aerospace industry. After EDB, I spent quite a few years, about 14 years in SI Engineering Company. And then after that, yes, I'm here at the air show, at the Experia Events, on the other side of the equation, running Singapore Airshow, and also interacting with exhibitors, participants, trade visitors, really trying to grow the aviation industry. So it's always been aviation related.
Well, that sounds great. I mean, it really sounds like they picked the perfect guy for the job because you've seen the defense side, you've seen the maintenance and aviation side, you even see the EDB side of it as well. This year's show is on track to have record attendance, right? I think you had, 65,000 trade visitors? Have you finished counting the public attendance too?
Yes, we had 60,000, 30,000 on Saturday and 30,000 on Sunday.
So in total, I think that's a record for you guys, right? New record.
Yes, if you look at it as a total, we had more than 120,000 that attended the show, befitting of our 10th edition. And you're right, it's a record-setting show.
Actually, the Singapore Airshow is really one of the major air shows in the region, right? There's no other show that really has that neutrality. You have, exhibitors from China, you have exhibitors from the West as well.
Yes, I think that's one of the very unique features, not just of Singapore Airshow, but Singapore as a whole. We are right smack in the middle of a very, very aggressive growing region, the Asia-Pacific region. Singapore is business friendly. We are neutral. And it's really a great place to use the Singapore Airshow as a springboard into the really very aggressively growing Asia-Pacific market. And this is the value that we bring for all the exhibitors and all the attendees that come to Singapore Airshow once every 2 years.
Since the first airshow in 2008 till now, what do you think has been the biggest difference for you in terms of Singapore's development in the sector?
This is our 10th edition, which means 20 years of going through this growth phase. When I start to reflect back, I put it in the other way. I think what has not changed that has made us grow so big. Really, the thing that has never changed for Experia and for Singapore Airshow is that we will ensure we'll continue to bring value for all the attendees that come to our show. Be it in making sure that we invite all the very important VIP delegations to the airshow. These are the people like the defense ministers, chief of defense forces, service chiefs, very senior government decision makers, industry leaders, to make sure that all these people attend the airshow. And on the exhibitor side, we always work very hard to make sure that at least The top 50 or the top 100 global aerospace companies are all here, present, exhibiting, so that we can create a value-adding platform where all the leaders, all the decision makers can meet, interact, discuss opportunities, and chart the way forward. So this is what always been our mantra, our strength. So that's what has never changed, and I think that's our growth formula.
Looking at Singapore's entire aviation aerospace scene since 2008, what do you think has been the biggest change there, which also drives the air show?
Again, it's the consistent growth of the Asia Pacific region. Again, that's what has not changed. Maybe I put it the other way again. If you look at the last 20 years, the aviation industry has been growing. And what has also been a consistent factor is that Asia Pacific remains as the growth impetus, remains as the growth engine. So I think it's with this very, very buoyant backdrop, and we want to use Singapore to leverage, in terms of proximity to the market, to the Asia Pacific market, in terms of connectivity to the Asia Pacific region. All these are strengths that we leverage on Singapore and Singapore Airshow as a whole, making sure that the show has got value. People can meet relevant people. We put very trending and relevant topics for our discussions at our forums. There's mind share, there's thought leadership. So I think we will put all these together, and then with really that very, very big market in the Asia Pacific region, I think that's really a good formula, and we have been making sure that we keep that intact and we grow it stronger and stronger.
Who do you think is the biggest direct competitor to the Singapore Airshow for you guys?
In the region, there are air shows in almost every country in Asia Pacific, right? You've got Malaysia, Korea, Indonesia. But I see that we are all working in unison to make sure that we continue the growth. We bring attention to the potential and the growth opportunities. And I think we all have to take care of our own little business arena or business area to promote the growth. So I think it's really about understanding the growth, working in our own little parts, and in together bring up the attention and bring up the opportunities that are available here in this region. Yes, competition, but also, I think it's about working together to heighten the awareness of really the great amount of opportunities available here.
Just to look at the recent show, I think the EDB had about at least $500 million of investments announced at the show. And that was in what we call maintenance, repair, overhaul, which is the, fixing aircraft, basically. That's really driven by Singapore's status as an MRO hub, right? In the whole region, very big hub for the region, right?
Yes. So Singapore has been very strong in building up this hub. It's a lot of concerted effort of all parties, all agencies, all, associations in Singapore working together. If you look at our aviation hub, first and foremost, we are a global aviation hub in terms of connectivity, in terms of proximity, business neutrality. That's very important. And more importantly, is we are also very focused on building capabilities, building technologies, plus human capital. All our ITEs, Institute of Higher Learnings, understanding what's the need of the industry and training the required skilled technicians and engineers. Singapore is a very, very attractive location for investments. There's a very, very strong supporting industry around the MRO industry in Singapore. A lot of our Singapore-based SMEs are also stepping up to provide all the supporting services. And we contribute to more than 10% of the global output for the MRO industry here from Singapore to make it very conducive for foreign companies to bring their investments here and build up capability in Singapore.
This year's show, actually, there was quite a big twist because there was the Space Summit. We also had the announcement by Minister Tan See Leng about the new space agency in Singapore. This all seems quite timely. You guys decided, obviously, to have a Space Summit. What were the reasons for that?
Space is also another aggressive growing market. According to McKinsey, by 2035, it's going to be a $1.8 trillion business. It's the same pattern. Asia Pacific is the key driver, is the impetus again. I think that's the most opportune time for us, Experia, to step in. And the response for the inaugural Space Summit has been overwhelming. We had more than 300 participating companies and organizations, more than 2,000 attendees of the show over the 2 days. So it's been great. And the response has said that they're going to come back. for 2027, 25th to 26th of February. We're starting to work towards that already. So right now, when the attendees come, it's not just about Singapore Airshow. They have an option to go to space, then they go to Singapore Airshow. In today's context, space, aviation, defense, it's really more value for their time.
When you talk about space, it's about satellites, right? Mostly for Singapore.
We are not into that big rocket. I think our focus is really more on services, be it launching services, be it data analysis, be it providing earth monitoring services, climate monitoring services, understanding where are the opportunities, understanding where the data can be collected, how the data is being used, and providing value for the satellite operators, for the launch operators, for even broadcasting people. Really, the applications are just too wide-ranging, communications, navigation, everything.
I guess the important thing is to note that a lot of businesses now use this data as opposed to, say, 10 years ago, and it's more widely available, right?
Yes, more wide-ranging than we ever thought it'd be. It's like even for our own daily lives, GPS navigation, call on the phone, it's all space technologies, very wide-ranging in terms of applications. Again, the opportunities are there.
When we come back, we're going to speak more with Chet about sustainability, AI, and other stuff in the aviation industry. Stay tuned.
Lens on Singapore is now bigger and better. The same deep dive exploration of socioeconomic and geopolitical issues which impact our lives here in Singapore and the region is now a video podcast. If watching a conversation is your thing, join Clarissa Montero in monthly conversations about things that matter. Subscribe to the BT Lens On playlist in the podcast tab of the Business Times YouTube channel and start watching today. BT Lens On Singapore, now available in audio and video.
And now, back to Transport BT, a podcast of BT correspondents.
Welcome back. I'm talking with Leck Chet Lam, Managing Director of Experia Events, the organizer of the Singapore Airshow. We saw quite a bit of advanced air mobility, air taxis and drones. Where are we? We're not really sitting in air taxis yet. And how far away do you think we are from that sort of reality?
I don't think we're that far away. I think there are many developments going on in different parts of the world. Europe is one exciting area, Middle East, of course, the US. And I think at the show, we had a panel about advanced air mobility. We worked with various partners to bring in topics, to bring in speakers. And we had people from different parts of the ecosystem, the city planners, the people who operate air taxis, the manufacturers, very important, various civil aviation authorities, not forgetting the financing people. We have brought together at the Singapore Airshow the various people in the same room, on the same panel that we can discuss operating frameworks, where are the no-go lines, what can we do, what we cannot do, infrastructure, authorities, talks about certification too, and of course financing. Interesting observations during the discussions. Maybe within the time frame of 3 to 5 years, or even closer, I think we will be seeing commercialized air taxi operations. Maybe not in Singapore, but I'm sure in different parts of the world. Yeah.
Well, that lines up with what the CEO of Vertical Aerospace told me. I think that's an eVTOL company or air taxi company. 2029 onwards, right?
So Vertical, yeah, they're one of our exhibitors. 2029, I think it's possible as long as we work on the various pieces, certification, operating framework, infrastructure. I think it's more than possible.
So that's another up-and-coming sector that we should keep our eye on.
Yes.
You spoke a lot about AI, automation, robotics as well. Do you think that will help the long-standing supply chain issues in aviation aerospace?
I think AI will definitely play a part. It could be automation, could be robotics. So if you ask me, AI is what we need to focus on going forward. We saw a lot of that at the Airshow too. It's really talking about integration of AI into the operations, make things that were so difficult to do a little bit more manageable. We had many of these companies that exhibited at the Airshow, Shield AI, Helsing, Enduria. They are showing what is possible in terms of applications. Right now, the design focus is we go software first, then we're going to decide where the applications will be put on to create the hardware. quite different from what it used to be, where everybody talked about, hey, let's design equipment, let's design a machine, let's design a product. The thinking or the philosophy is changing now. One of the manifestation we saw was many MOUs were signed between Shield AI, ST Engineering, our Defense Science and Technology Agency, Republic of Singapore Air Force.
I actually spoke with the founder of Enduro, Palmer Lucky, and he said they built their solutions before people asked for them, and they hyperscale it as well. Do you think that sort of thing will really catch on? Not just defense, but also in aviation itself?
Yes, yeah, everywhere. So like what you say, they already have a solution available. It's better what do you need from them. Its applications are across the board, be it on defense applications, civil applications, and not just in aviation, maritime industries, land transport. So really, I think that's the power of AI.
And our last question would be about sustainability. So for Singapore, we had that big announcement, the trial of our sustainable aviation fuel system with some big companies like Google, DBS, Temasek as well. And what do you make of that?
Again, we see many developments in this. For example, our Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, they were the first in the world to introduce a green levy. They collect a levy and then they use this to push the initiative for that usage of 1% of sustainability aviation fuel by 2026. So I think it's a very innovative way of looking at it. There's also an outcome or a target that Singapore is driving towards. And I think they are also talking about 3 to 5% usage of SAF by 2030s. Once we have frameworks put in place, everything else will come. That means everybody will become more focused, whether is it driving a more efficient propulsion system, whether it's looking at upsizing production of SAF, where is it made available, how is it made available. Those are also interesting developments, something to keep our eyes on. Sustainability and AI. I think these are the two key pillars that should keep driving the conversations going forward.
Leck Chet Lam, Managing Director of Experia Events, organizer of the Singapore Airshow. What to keep your eye on for the next wave of aviation aerospace development, sustainability, and AI. So thanks so much for being on the show, Chet. We really appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much for having me.
Next week on BT Correspondence, we'll have an episode on property, so do stay tuned. If you have any thoughts or questions about the show, please drop us an email, btpodcasts@sbh.com.sg. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
This is a podcast by the Business Times. Find more BT podcasts at businesstimes.com.sg/podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is meant to provide general information only. SPH Media accepts no liability for loss arising from any reliance on the podcast or use of third parties' products and services. Please consult professional advisors for independent advice.